Hey, this is Dustin Kensrue.
Radio Cardiff. 98.7
Hey, I'm Morgan Richards from Radio Cardiff, 90.7 FM. I'm very pleased to say that I'm joined in the studio today by a man who means a great deal to both scenes of post-hardcore and acoustic rock over the last decade and a half. Is of course that Death or Glory songwriting fanatic from Orange County, California. It's the wonderful Dustin Kensrue of Thrice.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No worries. Hey man, you right?
I'm doing good, yeah.
Okay, oh fantastic. So Dustin, just recently you've been extremely busy on the road supporting now your newly released second solo studio album, Carry the Fire, that came out just a few short weeks ago. I'm sure it's been great to get back out there with your acoustic guitar and play all these new material close up and personal. The fans continue to show you some great support.
Yeah, it's great getting to play the new songs. A lot of them I've had just kicking around in bits and pieces for the past 8 years. So finally getting them down, recording them, and now getting to share them with everyone is great.
And of course, in between this and your debut solo material you released back in 2007, you've released and worked on many different projects and styles under different names in that time. What kind of made you think to go back to that earlier style of your material and record this second studio album?
I've honestly wanted to record this record for, I thought it would be a year removed from the first one, or 2 years maybe, but there's just been kind of so much going on in different ways that I haven't had time to. So finally got down to recording it.
Okay, because really these new songs are actually material and ideas you've had over the last 8 years running through your head. Has it been nice to re-savor these ideas now to go back to them and get them together?
Yeah, they're definitely not finished ideas until I'm actually recording them, or even close. But there's definitely I'll keep track of just any kind of melody or idea that pops through my head and record it. But there's the ones that stick, and so there's been definitely I'd say a majority of the record have been those kind of ideas that I've really had a vision for a long time, and so it's definitely good to get them out there.
And really, for example, you first started playing your most recent single of Crows and Crowns live back in 2012. So to have this proper recorded and out there for people to hear must be quite exciting now.
Yeah, and the only reason that one was actually done is because I finished it for my wife's birthday. So I only can finish things for some kind of deadline. So yeah, that was the reason that one was done earlier than all the other ones. But even in the end, it changed the arrangement a decent amount when I recorded it.
And of course, because of these songs originally being written years apart from each other, there's a lot of different sounding styles, from really rock-packing melodies and acoustic folk to even that touching piano ballads as well.
Yeah, I don't think the variety of styles has a ton to do with the time as much as I just like a lot of different kinds of music, and these happen to be the ideas that were intriguing to me to put on the record. And I didn't want the first record was really very much based off the acoustic guitar and built from there. A little bit of rhythm section added on top, but mostly they were very much acoustically based songs. And this record I didn't want to do that way, and so there's songs that were built off of a piano part, there's songs that were just built off a melody and then a pulsing synth bass underneath, and then it grew from there. So it's really from all over the place, and I don't know, I think I definitely wanted it to feel a lot more diverse than the previous record, but it was also a little scary as I was recording, just not knowing if I was going to be able to make it all make sense together, but I think in the end it does.
And going back to some of those projects and releases you worked on in between these solo records, you worked on some material that could be described as biblical based, with you yourself being quite religious. For you, was it important to incorporate that into music, especially in a way that didn't really get forced to be received in that way to the listeners?
So in retrospect, hindsight, I would have put that out under a different name, and it will actually be released under the Modern Post name later, just for the reason that ended up being confusing to people in what I was actually trying to do. So that record is, aside from one song, is specifically meant to be songs to use in worship in churches and beyond that as well, but it's a very different purpose for writing a song than I would normally just sit down and write a song. And so the kind of metaphor I use is it's the same thing as if I was going to write, a marching song. It has a specific purpose for people to march together, and this kind of whatever. It has its own parameters, and so there's a similar thing with writing a song to be used in worship like that. So that's why it's so different. I don't think a lot of people understood. That's why the lyrics are much more clear, and it's not quite as open to interpretation, because when you have a bunch of people singing together for that kind of purpose, you don't want those ambiguities. So in hindsight, though, I would have labeled it different, because as much as I try to communicate that, it's impossible to kind of communicate that to everyone, especially when it's released under the same name. So yeah, that's definitely something that I care about, but I also really love just making music in general that's about anything and everything. And yeah, so I'm glad to do this record, and I'm sure I'll continue doing modern post stuff as well. So.
And now, Dustin, just a couple more quick things before you go. Of course, while I have you here, I have to mention the fact that just a couple of months ago, you and your fellow bandmates in Thrice announced they'd be stepping off hiatus to perform some massive reunion shows across many festivals this summer, exciting a lot of people. But with that, what does this now mean for the future of Thrice? Are you guys back off hiatus for good, or?
We are right now just focusing on playing these shows, and we'll see what happens after that. So I don't know. I said we'll see to someone the other day, like, that always means yes. I said that's what my kids also say. So, okay. But we'll see.
So there hasn't been any talk yet of possibly some new material, even more shows after the summer festivals?
Just focusing on those shows right now.
And of course, one of those shows is that you'll be exclusively coming to the UK to play Heavy Fest in August. I'm sure that one's going to be one to really look forward to.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm really excited about all these shows. I think after having a few years away, both for us and for fans, it's going to be a blast.
Well, that's about it. Cheers, Dustin, for taking time out to have a quick chat with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, no worries. Best of luck now with the rest of this tour and everything with Thrice in the near future, and hopefully I can catch up with you again very soon.
Cheers.